Welcome back to another episode. I am Kinsey Roberts.
And I'm Lindsay Lucas. Together we are the Venue Podcast. We are continuing the conversation from our previous episode, which was niche venues and the trends that support them. So, in the previous episode, we talked about micro venues and the stats that we came across. We read some reports from the Not Worldwide along with Pinterest, and some of those were kind of shocking. So, if you haven't listened to those, please go back, listen to that episode, or even just listen to it right after this one. It's totally fine. It doesn't have to be in order. Today, we're going on the opposite end of the spectrum. So, we kind of touched on in the last episode the fact that we're in this barbell economy that, you're either serving DIY budget-friendly brides or you're serving luxury, ultra luxury couples. And there's not a whole lot of, I don't want to say success, but there's not a very wide lane for middle of the road anymore, the median budgets.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so we talked about that a little bit and dove into that. So today we are going to talk more about the luxury, the ultra luxury, and the trends that we're seeing on that end of things. So one, I'm going to get nerdy in the beginning. I like getting nerdy in the beginning, and then we can kind of like expand and I can share client testimonials and things and stories and case studies that support what we're talking about. Because
Mhm.
when I started reading these reports, I definitely had clients that were coming to mind and it was like, okay, like this is why they're having success right now. So anyway, in a report from this year, so this is current statistics, and this is all done just to give you like the context of things. This is a report done by luxury planners. So luxury planners were being interviewed about luxury couples. Um, and so basically what it was saying is that some of them are intentionally choosing smaller guest lists, but it's not from a budget conscious decision. It's just a deliberate intention. They want their event to be smaller, intimate, inclusive, right? And it's not necessarily out of necessity, but they crave intimacy, right? And so what that does is it's not changing their budget. They're still spending, let's just throw out a really hefty round number. They're still spending 200,000. It's just instead of spending and spreading that 200,000 out on 200 guest list, they're now spending it on a guest list of 100, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what the luxury planners were reporting about their ultra luxury couples. Now, one of the things that supported this was the fact that the trend is shifting away from cookie cutter anything, not just cookie
Mm.
cutter venues, cookie cutter cakes, cookie cutter, literally cookie cutter anything. They want all custom. And so it said that couples in 2026 are increasingly moving away from traditional like banquet halls, and they're moving more towards private estates that offer more than just a backdrop. So basically, what they're looking for is something that it's not just a pretty space to host their wedding in. They want a full-blown experience. They want extended stays. They want multi-event weekends all centered around them, their friends, their family.
Hmm. Interesting. So to me, I'm like thinking of m myself and a lot of clients I've worked with in the past where like one of the things we love to slip, one of the things I'm sure you've seen this too, Lindsay, like 2017 to 2023, it was like, it's a blank slate. You can do whatever you want with. It's just like they
Yeah.
love that in their marketing. You know what I mean? Like that is
Yeah.
not what people are looking for anymore. It is, they don't want it to be a blank slate. They want it to be very custom, very niche.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't have any stats to back this up, but as we keep going with this data, I'm in my brain, I'm like, banquet hall to me, that word banquet hall alludes to something in the past, you know what I mean? Like banquet hall at a
Mhm.
hotel. But actually what I think that means is I feel like venues like mine, Vista View Events, these like blank slate barns and stuff like that. I feel like that could give people the illusion of modern banquet hall where it's just what it is. If especially if you're trying to land in the middle, which we just said previous episode and here, it's kind of dying. So I'm not saying that's the gospel. I'm just saying I'm starting to have these thoughts as we're having these conversations.
Yeah, right. And again, we harped on this in the previous episode, but it goes back to knowing your market
Right.
and staying up on where's the gap, what's needed in my market. And we're not saying like if you have a white barn, you should go and tear it down and, build
Correct.
something
Yeah,
completely
be for
different,
real,
right?
guys.
Or throw tens of thousands of dollars into renovations and turning it into something that it's not. That's not what we're saying. But we're saying maybe if you're hurting right now, maybe run a market analysis and see where the holes are and how you can pivot and make adjustments, right?
Yep. Okay, so ultra luxury planners have reported that their clients are spending the same amount of money, but on fewer guests so that they can up level their experience. And
Hmm.
that ultra luxury couples are looking for venues that aren't necessarily banquet hall blank slates, that whole bit, but they're looking for experiential design where they can have multi-event weekends. What
Hmm.
else is this report saying?
Yeah. So basically, they want like a destination concept without the
Mhm.
hassle of a destination wedding,
Yeah, that's
right?
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So specifically what it says is while destination weddings are beautiful, they come with logistical and financial challenges, especially for the guests that you're asking to come. There's
Hmm.
travel plans, hotel accommodations, all the things. So more couples want that destinational feel, i.e., they want the multi-day, multi-event experience in one place, right?
Mm, okay.
But they want it without all of the hurdles and the hassle that comes along with planning a destination wedding, right? And you have to keep in mind most destination weddings, like if I'm planning a wedding at a resort in Hawaii or Cozumel or wherever, right? Like it's an all inclusive.
Hmm.
You have like 1 to 2 meetings with the resort planner, and you're saying, I want this cake, I want this photography package, I want these flowers, I want this color table linens,
Hmm. That's
right?
right.
Which is usually white. So,
Yeah.
and Ultra Luxe wants the exact opposite. They want everything completely customizable, but they still want that experiential treatment. And so,
Hmm.
where we're seeing this happen the most, right? These types of ultra luxury weddings, what is highly sought after for these are historic estates,
Okay.
private estates, and then having on-site accommodations is a big part of
Hmm.
that,
Okay.
right? So even if you are a venue that is the white barn, the blank slate, like that's totally fine. But how can you adjust your property and adjust your packages to be multi-day events, even if you don't have cabins?
Right.
You don't necessarily have to have on-site accommodations directly on your property. Partner with local Airbnbs and boutique resorts, right?
Yep.
Partner with hotels, things like that. So I do think being able to offer a package that is multi-day, multi-event experiential is great. And I'll make my case here in just a second. So what it goes on to say is that value framing, estate venues that bundle coordination, alcohol, and on-site accommodations, top three income producing revenue streams for venues. So very first one is obviously the venue itself. Alcohol, I always like to say I hope that the majority of my clients can get their in-house liquor license because it's the second most profitable revenue stream for a wedding venue. Good rule of thumb is that it can produce anywhere from 60 to 80% of the venue's revenue. It's as close to doubling
Hmm.
your venue's revenue as you can get. And then the third largest revenue stream is on-site accommodations. And so that backs all of this up by saying that estate venues that bundle all three of those revenue streams can stretch a budget without sacrificing any of the vision,
Mm.
especially as couples get more selective about their upgrades.
So, if what does this look like in practice? If you are not, obviously, if you're someone who is a brand new venue owner and you're looking to build, this is great information because it can directly influence the type of venue that you build as long as your market analysis supports it for your location. But for those of us who are not new venue owners, You mentioned partnering with Airbnb, VRBO owners. I love that. One thing I was thinking was if you haven't all if this isn't part of your model right now, I feel like which it would not it's not part of my model right now. I feel like talking to, having time one-on-one time with luxury wedding planners would probably be a
Mhm.
really good start with current venues that are not serving the luxury market, but they want to serve the luxury market. I don't, again, I could be wrong about this. I'm not saying it's the gospel, but when it comes to luxury clients, so right now I'm mid-market and most of my all of my clients find the venue first before any other vendor. They find the
Yeah.
venue and then they go out and hire their month of coordinator or their wedding planner, photographer, videographer, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas when we switch to the luxury, ultra luxury market, they're finding their wedding coordinator first. Or it's not even their full
Yeah.
wedding planner and designer first. And then that
Yeah.
wedding planner is the one who helps them pick all of their vendors, including their venue. And so if I'm someone who wanted to get into the luxury, ultra luxury space, I would be focusing on creating relationships with ultra luxury and luxury wedding planners to get their
Mhm.
advice, see if it's viable. I feel like they would have the beat, actually. Like you could run your own
Yeah.
market report, but those people would certainly have the beat on, listen, here's what my clients are wanting right now, and you have it, you don't have it, or you totally have the opportunity for it. That would be my sort of like fastest way is straight from the horse's mouth, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. And I can give you a real life example because I have a client currently. They started working with me last December
Mm-hmm.
and they came to me and immediately asked to run a market analysis because they're very smart. And
We love them.
they said, we don't know, do what?
I said we love them. They're so smart.
Yes, we do. We
Hmm.
love that. We love that. Um, but so anyway, they came to me and said, we have this unique idea for a venue. We don't really know if it's on trend. Little did they know they were ahead of a trend.
Oh wow.
So they acquired a private estate. It's quite large.
Hmm.
I think it's over 60 acres. It has a 5 acre pond on it, a massive, massive lake house with an even larger outdoor deck that they've completely redone. And then they had an oversized 4 car garage completely made of stone that they are fully renovating and converting from a garage into like smaller intimate event center. And then they're attaching like a greenhouse to it. And
Wow.
then that is where like the bar is going to be, right? They right out of the gate said, we only want to host weekend weddings. We're targeting ultra luxe. And we need you to run our numbers, do our projections, and make sure like this, we're going to see some sort of ROI from this. And so we did. We started with their market analysis. Market analysis came back that there was a need for this. And then we gathered all of their numbers and ran projections, found their
Hmm.
bottom line, built pricing tiers accordingly.
Hmm.
On average, we will typically construct 3 to 4 different pricing tiers with booking goals within each tier. Once you hit your booking goal, you go up to the next tier, work off of that booking goal, so on and so forth, right?
Okay.
Just to put things into perspective here, we have a goal that they are in their final pricing tier. Some venues require a fourth pricing tier, but the majority of them are on 3 tiers. They're on 3 tiers.
Okay.
And so we have a goal that we want you to get to your final pricing tier 18 months out of the gate. Just to put like this client into perspective, they're definitely like an outlier for me, but they blew through their first 3 tiers before construction was even finished. Yeah, their year was fully booked, like this year for 2026 was
Hmm.
fully booked before construction got started.
With
Yeah.
what? Like renderings?
Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, so they immediately threw up a website, um, had renderings on there,
Okay.
architectural drawings, like it was
Mhm.
it was done really, really well.
That's awesome.
Um, but they did what you said. They immediately started networking with high-end vendors and they started with the planners first.
Hmm.
They also got themselves into Facebook groups as well. And so let me just like
Incredible.
throw out, so again, private estate, right? They do not have, they initially thought about building um, a large venue on the property.
Okay.
And we had a come to Jesus meeting probably like, oh my gosh, at the beginning of summer. So not, I mean, fairly recently. And they came to me and they were like, what if instead of spending 2.5 on this big massive venue, we dump that into on-site accommodations?
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's what they're doing. So that they can feed these multi-event weekends with one client. So let me just like throw some numbers at you. So their inquiry to tour ratio is 64%.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Their tour to booking ratio, clients come on site, and a lot of times you'll hear venue owners say, if I can just get them on site, the property will sell itself, right?
Yes, which is true a lot of the times.
It is. It is true. It's very true. But there are definitely tactics to put in place during the tour for a higher conversion. Their tour to booking ratio is 82%. Very rarely does a couple sign on site. So there's follow up and there's strategy in that.
Yes, there is. Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
That's incredible. I'm so happy for them.
Yeah. And they're fully targeting these ultra luxe couples. Now, we keep talking about like multi-event weekends, but what does that actually look like? So for them, what we have constructed within their package is check-in is 3 p.m. on Friday.
Okay.
They can host the actual ceremony rehearsal Friday evening.
Okay.
And then they have their number of hours, 12 hours, I believe is what we have for them for the actual event on Saturday. Tables, chairs are included. That's it. And then Sunday checkout, they do an extended checkout of 1 p.m. instead of a standard hotel checkout, which is 11 a.m. So
Right.
you do have a little bit of an extended time, right? Now they can add on events. And so that's the standard weekend package that everybody has to book. It's in the healthy five figures just for that.
Sure.
And then they can add on a welcome reception. They can add on an actual rehearsal dinner, not just the ceremony rehearsal run through.
Okay.
And then they
Mhm.
can do like a farewell brunch on Sunday. So all of these are options that their couples can add on. There's a bunch of other upsells and things like that within there. And then they have all of the on-site accommodations that are a separate charge. Plus, they have in-house bar packages. Every event that they book has an in-house bar package associated with it.
So they have a liquor license.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Okay.
They absolutely have their liquor license. And that was, I mean, the initial conversation that we had back in December before they ever even booked, I told them to get that.
hmm
So
So
they knew from the jump
okay,
that they
so
were.
they have a liquor license. It's their accommodate, it's their venue. So someone is cleaning the venue and turning over their tables and chairs. They
Mhm.
also have accommodation. Sorry, I have a question, I promise. They also have accommodation. So they have someone cleaning and turning over their accommodations.
Yep.
As far as all of the other events, the actual wedding, if they add a rehearsal dinner slash welcome party, if they add a brunch, aside from their bartenders for all of these events, what kind of staffing is this company provide? Is the venue providing any, or does it have to come from their other vendors, like their planning staff and their caterer, all of that?
Yeah, so they have a long-term vision of adding in-house coordinators and planners,
Okay.
but that's down the road. So right now, outside planners and vendors are absolutely welcome,
Yeah.
um, as long as they have the appropriate licensing and insurance. COIs absolutely have to be on file, and they have to be renewed every single year,
Mhm.
um, and they are added on as an additional insured. So for their specific staffing, they have two venue managers that help them during the week with tours.
Mhm.
As of right now, because they're still so new, they are handling all of their own CRM system, workflows, email, inquiries, all of the nurturing goes through them or their
Sure.
CRM system. They don't have a venue manager. They haven't handed that off yet. They will eventually get comfortable enough to do that. But you have to think at this point in the game, even though they're all of 2026 and 2027 are sold out and they just started in December of
Gosh,
last year.
I love this for them.
Construction started, like renovations started, I believe, in April of this year. In 2026 is fully booked and 2027 is fully booked, but they haven't actually hosted their first wedding yet.
So when you say fully booked, just to give people clarity on exactly what this means, because like when I say fully booked, I am a seasonal venue. I'm only open 6 months out of the year. So if you're a 12 out of 12 month venue,
Yep.
my fully booked is not your fully booked. So when
Correct.
you say
This
fully booked
is
for them, what does that mean?
this is seasonal as well. They're not quite, they're open 9 months out of the year, not
Oh,
six.
okay, awesome. So what are they like March to November or something? Or
Yeah.
what's their seasonality? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, March to November.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome. So something to keep in mind, you guys, is like what's great is that I love that and I love these details, because we can you don't have to fit yourself into a box necessarily. Again, we said it on the last episode. Even what you hear on this podcast may not be exactly the right thing for you, but it's important to get the details. Like if you're a 12 out of 12 month venue and you're like, oh man, everyone's fully booked but me. Well, Kinsey's fully booked is not the same as yours. Um,
Right.
so it's really important for you guys to know this background detail. I love so much that they got in touch with wedding planners. I feel
Hmm.
pretty strongly about that. As far as luxury, ultra luxury, or if you're a venue unlike mine, I have one planner who works at my venue. But if you are not, even if you are a budget venue, but you require coordinators or what have you, I feel like that is such a good step. Do you know during their tours? I mean, they're booking at over 80% is insane. I absolutely love that. Do you have any insight into whether or not those planners come to the tours, like these planners that they've already
Yeah.
created relationships with? Because it's almost, if they do, in my mind, I'm assuming that's happening. And because they've taken the time to create relationships, I almost guarantee these planners are like selling it for them.
So actually, because they're so new, the planners are still getting to know them, right? And so,
Okay.
like you said, there are several of the couples already have planners whenever they're looking for their venue. They're going through their planner to find the venue. And so it's the planners that have reached out to them and said, "Hey, I have this client that I'd like to set up a tour for," right? And as you were talking just now, I was thinking in my head, I want to reach out to them and see if they like just off the top of their head could spitball me like some sort of percentage. Do you think it's like 50% of the couples that are touring are contacting you through their planner?
Right.
Because there's some couples for them that they haven't even had a conversation with until they meet them on site. All communication goes through the planner.
Yeah, right. I
And
mean,
so I'm curious to know, like,
yeah.
what is that percentage for your specific clientele that are 100% just going through a planner?
Mhm.
Because there are now, and the other thing that you have to take into consideration that I want to make sure that our audience is aware of is they are new. They're a startup. They are not, they have never been in the wedding industry prior to this. They're coming from, I think, the dental industry. Um, and we put tiers together for them, right? And so in tier one, you are not attracting your ideal client. It's your lowest booking rate because of that, because you're going to want to weed out those clients. I know that sounds harsh, but it's the reality. You're going to want to weed out those clients as quickly as possible, but you need that lower tier to earn your stripes and to gain the momentum, the brand recognition,
Mhm.
and quite honestly, like the reviews and things too, right? And so, and then tier two obviously gets a little better. Every tier, you're inching closer and closer to your ideal clientele. And so I say all of that to say that tier one and tier two price point for them probably didn't have any planners at all,
Fair enough. Yeah.
right? But now that they're at their one of their later tiers, which we're not at their final tier yet because we have additional revenue streams that we're still working on launching. And once those launch, then yeah, we'll be at a much higher tier. And then they'll level out, they'll stay there for about a year and hold there and then reevaluate in Q4 of every year. Are we going to raise our price or are we not? Perform an audit. We've gotten into that into past episodes. One of the things that I wanted to make sure that I remember to touch on in regards to luxury planners is a little story that we were actually just on the phone. I was going for a walk, and they happened to call me. And was talking to me about this planner, and this client wanted to add on a welcome party, and we hadn't priced that out quite yet. So she was like, I need help trying to figure out like this welcome party, and then let's templatize it because we're going to start getting more and more and more of this, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so after we had like the little business meeting, I was just asking how things were going. And she was like, well, we really are loving working with these luxury planners because a few months ago, we reached out to a very well-known catering company and they're rural. The venue is a little bit more rural, but it's a private estate. It's very luxurious. Well, this luxury caterer was in the closest metropolitan area, which was about an hour away from them.
Okay.
And so the caterer was like the venue owners just reached out. And so the caterer responded and was like, hey, yeah, wish you the best of luck, but we're not coming all the way out there. Right.
Gotcha.
And kind of like brushed him off. Was polite about it, but was clearly got the message like, I'm not going to give you the time of day. I'm busy. We're booked too, kind of thing. So, luxury planner comes on site, introduces the couple at the tour. They really hit it off with the venue owners. Venue owners are talking to the planner and they're like, yeah, we reached out to so and so and he was nice, but we just haven't made a name for ourselves yet. And so he kind of just brushed us off and she was like, let me make a phone call. She made one phone call. Caterer emailed them immediately and was like, hey, let's get together. What does your schedule look like?
Amazing.
Right? Like, so I don't know. I'm biased, obviously, because I owned a planning firm for so many years, but planners are definitely worth their salt.
Planners are, they really are. And I feel like what's cool is that even if you're not working in the luxury or ultra luxury space, there are ways to get to know planners and partner with planners that can really benefit your venue because they have so much to offer. And if you treat them right, they're going to treat you right.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, and the thing is like we're speaking about planners in the context of being in this class of the market, this ultra
Right.
luxe and luxe. They're bringing clients to the venue, but there's so many other benefits to your point of their network is just so robust, right? They can save you days worth of time of networking and meeting and outreach and things like that. And if you really hit it off with the planner and they're nice enough to open you up to their network, like sky's the limit there, right?
That's
Like
right.
everybody's heard the saying, your network is your net worth.
Yeah,
It's true for venues too.
I
So
agree.
to wrap all of this up, I will say that I do feel like micro venues and estate venues do have this in common. If you're able to put on-site accommodations, alcohol, maybe even coordination into establishing a full wedding weekend package that is also flexible and customizable enough to
Mhm.
attract these types of couples. Welcome dinners, farewell brunches, rehearsal dinners, cocktail hours. I have one venue client right now that she's having like one of the extra events that she's offering is like a game night to where there's like pickleball and all these other like fun luxury games. She told me that she's going to get me the list of the things that they typically do within their family weddings, and it's super fun. It reminded me of like Bridgerton stuff. But anyway,
I love that.
um, rather than a single day event, and we talk about burnout all the time, that solves burnout issues. And I know that this form of a package isn't for every single venue.
Right.
But
Right.
think about it. Crunch
Think
the
about it.
numbers.
Yeah, I say there's nothing wrong with thinking things through, crunching some numbers, even if you don't follow through on them. It takes the numbers to actually give you a really solid yes, no, maybe. And
Mm,
and I'm gonna say it, the wedding industry is really changing. It's really changing for all of
yeah.
us, not just venues, but especially venues, as we've talked about these last couple episodes. And running these numbers, seeing the trends, figuring out where things are moving to, right? Skating to where the puck is going. This can really help you decide where you are at in your business. And listen, if you really bring out that pricing report, that market analysis. You start to look through the trends, where things are going to be headed in the next 3 to 5 years, and you look at your venue and you're like, that's just not for us. Well, then it might be time to sell. And then you find someone like Lindsay to help you through that process. But I feel like the wedding industry is really changing. And if we don't start having these conversations with each other, with ourselves, really looking hard at our venues, especially those of us who've been in business for 5, 7, 10+ years, I feel like we're going to wake up one day and be like, oh my goodness, like I'm not booking any weddings because we completely missed where the industry is headed. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but I feel like the wedding industry is really changing, and especially for venues.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Also, I appreciate you mentioning that about potentially selling. One note that I want to just put the bug in people's ear on, and then I do have a shameless plug, but is
Not shameless, you guys. We have no shame about this.
when you want to sell,
Yes.
you can't just make the decision and then, you know, move forward. Like you need time. And I'm going to do a whole episode on this because I just started being a business broker this year. So this is still new to me this year. And I knew that things were going to move slowly just because that's the nature of wedding venues. And I was prepared for that. Average acquisition on a business is 60 to 90 days. Venues take anywhere from 12 to 18 months because
Okay.
they're such a heavier lift.
True.
And it's a very specific investor type that you're looking for, right? And so my point is that I've entertained plenty of inquiries that have said, I'm burnout, I'm tired, I'm ready to sell, I can't do this another season, but we can't list quite yet because there's work that has to be done to get your numbers to where they need to be in order for you to have a good exit, right? So the majority of the people that reach out, I'll run a free valuation, going back to them and say, hey, based on the number that you told me, this ain't hitting it. And here are the gaps that I see. So go work on this and then come back. And at that point, when you've hit the numbers that you need, then we can invest in a commercial appraisal. Then we can invest in marketing, right? But I don't want you spending $3,000 to $5,000 on a commercial appraisal when your business isn't ready.
Yes.
You can't sell one without the other. I mean, you can. You can. I take that back. You can. You can absolutely sell the business and do a lease back, and we'll get into all of that later. But my point is like don't wait until you're ready. Run the numbers now.
Right.
So, shameless plug, and then we'll wrap up. So this episode was all about estate venues, the tiers that are supporting them, multi-event weekends, weekend full buyouts. If you have been wanting to get into venue ownership and you've been listening to this episode and you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds like what a dream. This is what's been in my head this whole time. Or if you're an investor that's like, I would love to start adding on private estates into my portfolio,
Mhm.
reach out to me. I happen to have one currently listed. It is in Texas. So if you're looking to expand your portfolio in Texas or start up your portfolio in Texas, hit me up. This venue is exactly what we're describing in this episode. And the sellers have been so great to work with so far. So it's been good.
And I'll do is I'll make sure Lindsay's email gets, we typically do that, but her email and her website will be in the show notes. So that's how you can reach out to her if you are interested. It's an incredible property. Oh my goodness. I mean, I haven't seen it, but I've heard a little bit of here and there. So, um, Lindsay, thank you so much. As always, you guys, I am Kinsey Roberts.
And I'm Lindsay Lucas. Together we are the Venue Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Bye.